Welcome to 5-Star Company Culture with your host, Josh Cunningham. In this podcast, we explore how culture is the key to unlocking massive profits and unprecedented freedom. Discover insights, strategies, and inspiring stories to transform your life and business. Here's your host, Josh Cunningham.
Hello and welcome to another episode of our 5-Star Company Culture podcast. I'm your host, Josh Cunningham, the founder and CEO here at 5-Star Company Culture. Our mission here is to help provide small business owners, entrepreneurs, executives more freedom and profits in their life by establishing that foundation of a highly successful company culture, a culture that attracts and retains the top talent, a culture that creates wonderful, amazing customer experiences, and a culture that also creates some freedom in your life, so you're not just a slave to the business, grinding all day, every single day, just to wake up and do it all over again, creating some leverage, creating some freedom so you can live the life that you seek to live. I've got an amazing guest today. Joining us from across the pond, live from London, is Pete Taylor. How's it going, Pete?
Good, Josh. Thanks. Good to be here, buddy.
Yeah, man, our first international guest here on the podcast. So we'll have to make you a plaque and send it across so you can hang that up in your office there. But Pete comes to us, like I said, from London. He's got an incredible background, made the climb through the corporate ladder, stepped into entrepreneurship, has had some aha moments in his life and some realities. And now he's on a mission to help other men achieve more freedom in their life through his own mission, his own purpose. And so, Pete, why don't you kind of tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and your professional career and some of the things that you're up to these days?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I was just saying before we started the podcast here that the first stage of my career, probably like many business owners, entrepreneurs, is that I started in corporate. I was in corporate for 15 years and I loved it. It was a fantastic experience. I enjoyed and thrived climbing the ladder. And ended that like corporate career with a team underneath me, but with the realization that I could do this myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually recall like the moment where like I was managing 100 guys and sites. I worked for a big like design and build construction firm. We used to build like offices like like the funky Google offices, like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool projects. And my MD at the time drove in his new Ferrari. And I thought, hey, now there's a car that I would like one day. And I'm not going to get that by just doing what I'm doing. I was essentially a lead designer, right? So and I was managing 100 guys on site. So we made the jump and we made our own business, started in the living rooms. And 5 years later, we had a 3-story building in London. We had tenants in some of the floors, and I had my team of now 20 people on one of the floors there, and built a thriving business. And I was just saying to Josh that 18 months ago, I decided that era was going to come to an end, and I left that business to start a new project, which is called the Awakened Man Project, and very, very different sort of animal. We got a much smaller team now, but our client base, which feels like our team members because we are so close to them, and we now have over 100 clients and we have thousands of followers. And it's like we build a culture within the community that we've built. So the two of running a company and now running a community really, really like interlink.
Yeah, that's an awesome story, man. And love the vision there. That aha moment. For some people, it's a vehicle pulling up that they aspire to be in. For other people, it might be some other type of trigger. But there was that incentive, that motivation, that desire to take some action and take a leap of faith and start building your own company. And I love the story from the living room to a 3.5-story building in downtown London. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your focus? Once you made that shift over, become an entrepreneur, become a business owner from climbing the corporate ladder. You had mentioned to me that your biggest focus was on the team. You were just absolutely obsessed with helping people become better and happier at work, and then the results begin to compound on themselves. So why don't you shed a little bit of light into your passion and your vision for improving people's lives at work?
Yeah, well, Actually, this started for me when I was mega young. When I was
Mm-hmm.
like 13, when I was like 12, 13, I had a stunt in my growth. Like my bones structure, my muscle like growth was 2 to 3 years, so the doctors say, below what it should have been, which meant
Mm-hmm.
I was quite small, and I got picked on. And throughout my teenage years, I got quite heavily picked on. And so I started going to the gym when I was about 15 because I wanted to chat. I got to do something to get
Mm-hmm.
bigger. That was all. I need to improve here so I don't get beaten up by the boys and taken the piss about by the girls. So I joined the gym really early, but also picked up self-development books really early. So from a young age, I'd like found this thing that could make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And from that age I was obsessed with like self-improvement and like anything around biohacking and productivity and how can I increase my personal performance. So 6 months into starting our business, I was like, I need support. Like we're getting loads of work coming in and I need support. So we had started to employ people. And after the first couple of employees, I was like, actually, why isn't this a thing? Why don't I just teach them all the things that I know about self-development and self-improvement? Because it
Mm-hmm.
was not like the previous company I used to work for, there was 350 people working there, and it was not a thing. There was nothing around like, how can we like improve your mindset, make you
Mm-hmm.
more resilient,
Mm-hmm.
right? Build some mental toughness. There was nothing around that. And it seemed glaringly obvious to me, but I'd been doing it for so long. So yeah, like one of the first things that I started doing when team members would come on is I'd just give them books.
Mm-hmm.
So simple. It's like here's a couple of like great books that have really helped me in my journey. And like as part of your onboarding to read a book in work time, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll discuss the book afterwards, and we'll discuss like what you've taken from that and like my insights from that, and like if there's anything that you think that from reading that you can then bring additionally to the company.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's actually something very similar to what we do here at rokrbox. We've had a leadership team now. We actually just celebrated our 10-year business anniversary a couple of days ago, but we've
Congrats.
always had a leadership team, and as a lot of times the leader of the organization, you feel the pressure, you feel the weight on your shoulders of having to educate everybody on the do's and don'ts of leadership. But there's a phenomenal collection of leadership books that already exist out there, written by world-renowned, authors and speakers and presenters, and that's exactly what we do as well. We pick up a book on leadership, and we start dissecting it, read a couple chapters at a time, and then catch up in our weekly leadership meetings. And then when we're done with the book, everybody brings another nomination for another book, and so there's the power of not only just you consuming something and thinking, oh yeah, that's totally right. I wish my people were to do that, but empowering them to create those ideas and to come up with that observation on their own, and then you get together and you get to discuss and collaborate and hear other people's perspectives. And so that's a really great way to accelerate the development of your team. So books, a phenomenal idea. Any of your favorites that you that made a truly profound effect on your team members?
Yeah, in fact, we took it to a couple of levels up.
Uh-huh.
Is that when we started to think about our core values as a business,
Mm-hmm.
and we began to include our core values in our hiring process, and then I was like, well, I should really include that in our onboarding process as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we linked like books with our core values, and like one of our previous core values was take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fundamental one for me, and it was a fundamental that we drove through the business. And there's a fantastic book by Jocko called Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership. Yeah,
they'll blow your mind. It'll
Yep.
just change your perception on life reading that book. And it did. Like every new team member that will come through the business, the first book to read is Extreme Ownership. And
Mm-hmm.
you get someone like taking ownership in their role and then they bring it back home in their life, like everything improves. Like their mindset switches. And especially like in corporate, I remember this, there was so much toxicity and victim like, why me, and a poor us, Why does it always happen to us? And there was always that. Whereas something like extreme ownership, and it kind of teaches you the concept of to take responsibility. That's a powerful character trait for any team to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely on the top of our list there of books that we love to read. Yeah, extreme ownership. That's a great one. I also love tribal leadership. Have you read Tribal Leadership?
I've not, no.
It's a really good, again, these are just different perspectives, because as business owners, we're always, we're very result driven, right? We want positive results. You mentioned, before that the Awakened Man Project is all about, helping being around high performing men. As high performing men, we like to track and record what the results are, right? Well, the results comes from your actions. The actions that we take come from the emotional state that we're in. And that's normally derived from the thoughts, from the inner dialogue, what we're telling ourselves, what we believe in. And so what you're talking about here is, rather than just telling an employee, hey, this is how we do things, these are the results that we expect, you're able to go and shape the belief system that they're investing in, the stories that they're telling themselves, the perspectives that they're gaining through reading other, books and other perspectives on these guys that went and fought, in some of the most dangerous places in the world, where the decisions that they made were life or death. And if you can get people to consume and be aware of, and to start investing in the belief that, hey, maybe I should be accountable, right? Maybe, hey, let's not be, toxic to our coworkers. Let's not have this victim mentality. Let's step up to the plate. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's, let's be extremely accountable. And, it's the beliefs that people have that are going to inspire them to take the action when they don't have a step-by-step process, or a minute-by-minute checklist, or someone over their shoulder that they can answer every single one of their questions. And that's how you truly get profound, performance in your company, is by helping people, making sure that you find the right people that believe in what you believe in, and that they can take the action on their own. So any other tips or best practices on, like you said, helping people become happier at work, helping them grow and become better and more productive in the roles that they were playing in to make the company so successful?
We took loads of steps. The two that just like come to my mind there is number one. Actually, my second ever employee, Danielle, who I still love, right? We don't work with each other anymore. She started off as my assistant, and then she kind of moved into more office management. And then I could really see like her passion for human psychology, as well as just people. She was just so good with people. And we put her through an accreditation and a course for to be a chief happiness officer.
Nice.
So I had a CHO, a chief happiness officer, and then that became her role. And we employed a new assistant, a new office manager, and Danielle's role was to ensure that the team were performing to their best and they were happy. And so she had a set of protocols that she would go through, and she'd be checking in with all the team. And my team wasn't big. There was like 20 of us, and we weren't like, companies employ CHOs maybe when you've got 500 and plus and so on.
Right.
This was so important to us, and I could just see that if my team were happy, the company grew. And it was just glaringly obvious that if we invest in someone that's dedicated to the happiness of the team, and the team would talk to her. And then so if there was an issue, because the team wouldn't always talk to me, I was the boss, right? And albeit fantastic relationship, not everything would be disclosed. And Danielle would be able to come to me and say, hey, I can't tell you who said this, because I want to keep that discretion. But just so you know, like, there's some feelings going on. I'm like, okay, great. I can address that now. If I hadn't had that role, there would have been so many feelings and things going on in the company I just wouldn't have been aware of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so she had these, were they planned regular meetings with the team, or was it just when things bubbled up that they would come speak to her? How did you structure that?
Regular meetings. So initially it was always me. Initially, I'd do coffee meets with the team individually. So we do coffee catch-ups with Pete. It'd be 30 minutes every week. As a team started to grow, it got more difficult for me to do that. And I was like, okay, we need to make it every 2 weeks. And then it was like, okay, we need to make it every month. So then it became a thing for Danielle to take on, she would have regular catch-ups with them, but also there was also like space where they could just drop in. They could just drop in and say, hey, there's like, I need to talk to you about something, or I've got this thing going on at home, I just need to voice that. So yeah, the protocol worked very well.
That's great. Yeah, and again, it's the goal is to be happy, right? The happier you are, the better mental, emotional state that you're in, and that allows you to take better actions, make better decisions that create better results, and it just sort of compounds on itself.
We were also really aware that like happiness is such one of those words, right? What does happiness even mean? And so for us, it was always, although her role was chief happiness officer, it was always for the team to be able to flourish. It's like what can we do for the team to be able to flourish? And like a big part of that was, because we are goal-driven animals, us humans, and was to give each member, if they wanted it, some autonomy around like a project or like an objective that they would own or part own. And so it like for them, it wouldn't be, oh, Pete's driving the business forward and Pete's doing this with the bit. It was like everyone collectively had their own thing that drove up to the bigger business objectives, and that worked incredibly well for people to have something intrinsic to drive towards.
That's great. So besides the one-on-one interaction that they had with the chief happiness officer, did you guys also have group meetings or masterminds or surveys, or what were some other tools that you guys did to actually quantify how happy everybody is?
Yeah, we did surveys. Like we did plenty of in-depth surveys, but one of the key ones we used, which I still use this now for both customers and team, is the NPS score. It's like the net promoter score. The one question. Yeah, between 1 and 10, and it's just so simple, and it just really gave us a benchmark as to like how are we doing, and if we're scoring below an 8, like we need there's something wrong here. We need to be there's elements we need to work on. So yeah, we always go through that. But one of the and I remember this, and God rest his soul, Bob Proctor. I don't know whether you've heard of Bob Proctor. I purchased one of his programs and masterminds many years ago for myself, and there was a huge part of that which was for the company, for a team. I was like, so rather than just like doing the work on myself, I took the whole company through a 6 months like mentorship program. And so it was every Tuesday, and we'd start at 4:30. And we'd spend an hour or 90 minutes going through one of the lessons that he would be talking about, and then we'd do the work afterwards based on the company. And it was phenomenal, because it didn't just focus on professional goals; it focused on personal goals. I remember me and the team out in the car park burning all of our limiting beliefs. Right, in his big like metal can. That's and it was awesome. Just like, I just remember it was just so cool, like the team just like dancing around, and I'm like, I never did this when I was in corporate. It's just those sorts of like elements were not only fun, but brought that like let's actually develop and grow like personally as a team. And not just focus on what's the next KPI we're going to hit. Right, because we had all that, and I love all that. I'm a metrics man. I'm I eat KPIs for breakfast, but the personal side is just as important.
That sounds like an entrepreneurial cereal or something. KPIs, it's like the new cereal for entrepreneurs. I eat KPIs for breakfast.
And then you should come out soon.
Just to recap there, the net promoter score. The one question is, how likely are you to refer someone to do business with us, right? So I guess from the employee standpoint, you're saying, how likely are you to recommend someone to come work for us?
Yeah. How likely are you to recommend this to a friend or family? Yeah,
nice. Absolutely. And I love those exercises, those techniques where you're, like you said, it's more than just knowledge. It's more than just downloading information, but actually taking action and burning the limiting beliefs in the trash can in the parking lot. I was at an event recently, and we took an arrow, like one of those practice arrows, and wrote our limiting belief on it, and you put it right there on that soft part of your neck, right where it gets a little squishy, and then you step into it and you crush the limiting belief. So it's, those types of experiences, we may not remember what we had for lunch last Tuesday, but experiences like that where you're building your camaraderie and you're connecting with other people and you're being vulnerable and you're sharing that gift with other people. And those are the types of memories that are long lasting, that really make an impact.
Josh, yeah, do you know what? That's spot on, mate. And you're right. I hadn't really like considered that, but that experience with the burning of the limiting beliefs in the can was probably 4 years ago, and I remember that. Like I remember the laughter. I remember so much about that night, and I'm sure everyone who was there with me will remember that. And it's I think that's like, if there's one takeaway from this podcast, is like evoke emotion and feelings outside of business within your team and make lasting impressions.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, talk to us a little bit more about the Awakened Man project and what you're working on now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The Awakened Man project is an amazing, it's a business, right? This is something that I needed as a business owner. Like as I grew my business, I actually became a little bit more lonely. I had more like mental battles to fight. There was more personal growth that I needed to do. Like the bigger my business grew, the kind of the more growth I needed. And I struggled to find that. I struggled to find people to teach me that and to help me. So we created a project called The Awakened Man. And it was a space, and we were like, am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, yeah, it was like, we will help men unfuck themselves. And step into their heroic selves. And that was literally that was our thing. We're just going to help men untangle what's going on in their brains, understand their own psychology, as well as being around like other high performing guys. Started off with 10 guys in a private group. Now we've got 1,000 guys or thousands of guys in that private group. We've got tens of thousands of guys that listen to us. And we have now over 100 like personal clients, and it's a phenomenal community.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. And you've grown that just over the last 18 months.
Yeah, over the last 18 months. And like this morning I did a call. There were 75 men on the call, and I coached them all around building their character as men, and like what it means to be a man. And I just get off that call and it's just so much energy. And I'm like, this is just the place. This is the exact calling that I felt that, from that 13, 14-year-old boy who started his like self-development journey. And like, I'm able to now help other guys like learn from the things that I've learned. I've had to heal myself consistently. And every time I heal, I'm like, okay, now I've learned something that I can now bring back to the world.
Yeah, I think that's the best approach on any type of coaching program. That is that you're following a passion. It's something that you obviously have found as a great tool to help you achieve success in your life. And then, like you said, once you conquer that mountain, turning around and seeing who you can pull up to that mountaintop with you. So that's awesome, man. Kudos on the Awakened Man project. Thanks so much for all your insights today on company culture and some of the experiences that you had to share with us. How can someone get a hold of you or learn a little bit more about the Awakened Man project or some of the other events or projects that you have going on?
Yeah, Instagram is the best place to look. Like my personal handle is Pete_Taylor, and the Awakened Man is at the Awakened Man Project. And we have a website, awakenedman.org. Super simple.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Pete, for your presence today and all of your insights and your enthusiasm for our guests. Stay tuned. We'll have more amazing guests coming up. And just a reminder, we do have our 5-Star Company Culture Mastermind coming up in August in Austin. So if you want some more details about that, check out our website, 5starcompanyculture.com, or just shoot me an email, josh@5starcompanyculture.com. So thanks again for listening, Pete. Thanks for your time today, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll catch up soon. Take care.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you for tuning in to 5-Star Company Culture with Josh Cunningham. Embrace these lessons to elevate your business and join the ranks of thriving organizations. Stay tuned for more episodes. And until next time, remember, culture is the key to your success.